The disciples gathered under the Bodhi tree, seeking wisdom from the Buddha, their hearts yearning for understanding and peace. The Buddha began speaking, his voice calm yet profound, resonating like the gentle sound of rain nourishing thirsty earth. When I was a prince, the Buddha said, my life was wrapped in luxury. Unaware of the truths beyond palace gates, I lived sheltered from the suffering of the world, believing that wealth and power could shield me from pain and impermanence. My awakening began with encounters that shattered illusions. An old man, a sick man, a corpse, and a wandering ascetic. The sight of old age taught me the inevitable decay of life, which no riches can halt or prevent. The illness I witnessed revealed the vulnerability of bodies, dependent and fragile, subjected to forces beyond our control. The dead man lay still, stripped of identity and possessions, illustrating the truth that all life eventually comes to an end. The ascetic embodied renunciation and search for meaning, unaffected by worldly pleasures, his purpose rooted beyond the material realm. Through these encounters, I realized existence is bound by suffering, a cycle repeating until we seek liberation through understanding. I left the palace, not in search of escape, but in pursuit of truth that could extinguish the flames of ignorance. Under the Bodhi tree, my mind wrestled with despair and hope, questioning whether it was too late for enlightenment. At times, I doubted myself, burdened by the weight of past indulgences and time lost in unawareness. Yet the universe whispered a secret: time itself does not judge, and every moment contains potential for awakening. It is never too late to begin again. For every step forward is a step out of the shadows. Consider the seed buried deep in the earth, waiting silently, without regret, for rain and sunlight to coax it into growth. Does the seed lament its years underground, dormant and unseen, or does it simply rise when conditions are right? So too, my disciples, you can rise from dormancy, transforming your regrets into wisdom and your despair into determination. A life spent in distraction is not wasted if it leads you to the realization that time is boundless. Each breath you take holds opportunity for change. As long as you choose to turn your awareness inward and awaken, it is not the years past that matter, but the clarity of this moment and your willingness to embrace it. The disciples listened in rapt silence, their minds absorbing the Buddha's teachings, hearts alight with hope and inspiration. The Buddha continued, "You may believe you are too late to find peace, but this belief is itself an illusion. The notion of being too late arises from misunderstanding time, as if its flow could condemn us to stagnation forever. Regret is a mirror reflecting wasted moments. Yet it also shows our longing for purpose, which reveals seeds of growth. Turn regret into a teacher, a wise guide urging you to tread paths leading toward liberation and meaningful existence." Even I, in my princely life, thought the world beyond the palace held nothing worth seeking. A flawed assumption, but assumptions crumble when faced with truth, and realization dawns like sunlight piercing the veil of ignorance, illuminating hidden pathways. To feel too late is to see shadows instead of light, forgetting that the sun always rises, revealing new possibilities. Breathe deeply and reflect on the gift of time, which offers its boundless presence without judgment or conditions. Let the past be your teacher, not your jailer, and let the future inspire but not distract you from now. Awakening happens here and now, unbound by years past or days ahead, anchored in the richness of the present. Every moment is a doorway leading to understanding, every step a journey closer to the timeless truth within you. The mind wavers between fear and hope, but it is the stillness of awareness that reveals the essence of reality. Begin, my disciples. Always begin, without hesitation or despair, for the present is infinite and ripe for transformation. The Buddha's words settled into the hearts of the disciples, Like seeds planted in fertile soil waiting to sprout, one disciple asked, "Master, how can we overcome our sense of wasted time and lost opportunities to embrace your teachings?" The Buddha replied, "Regret feels heavy because it clings to memories of failure. Yet it is also a source of insight. The heaviness of regret fades when we acknowledge its lesson. Learning from the past instead of being defined by it. Acknowledge your failures. But do not dwell on them, for they are moments that led you to seek enlightenment. The rain does not scorn the dry earth for being parched but nourishes it with patience and abundance. Be like the rain, kind and forgiving to your mind, allowing understanding to flow without judgment or resistance. From forgiveness arises clarity, which helps us see time not as linear chains but as endless cycles of renewal. The journey of awakening does not judge where you begin, only how sincerely you commit to the path ahead. Do not weigh yourself down with thoughts of scarcity. Time is abundant, and wisdom infinite, waiting for your discovery." The disciples felt their hearts grow lighter. Realizing the burden of regret was one they could relinquish with understanding. The Buddha concluded, "Walk forward with purpose, and know that time is on your side, ready to guide you home." As the night deepened, the disciples sat beneath the Bodhi tree, reflecting on the teachings, their spirits nourished by hope. Another day, another moment under the vast sky. The disciples gathered seeking solace and wisdom from their teacher. The Buddha, a young monk, approached hesitantly, his eyes downcast, weighed by the burden of regret that haunted his every thought and step. "Master," the monk began, his voice trembling, "I have wasted my life chasing illusions, ignoring truth, and abandoning those who needed me. I fear I am beyond redemption," he continued. "That my years of indulgence and selfishness have closed the door to awakening." The Buddha regarded the monk with calm compassion, his gaze steady as the flowing river that bears no judgment or haste. "Tell me," the Buddha said, "do you believe the river despairs over the rocks it must flow around on its journey? The river accepts obstacles not as barriers, but as part of the path, shaping its course, finding its way forward. Regret is much like the rocks," the Buddha continued, "apparent obstacles that can teach us resilience, humility, and the strength to adapt." The monk listened intently, his heart clinging to the possibility that his past need not condemn him to eternal anguish. "Regret," the Buddha explained, "is a weight only as heavy as we allow, a reflection of our longing for meaning and change. Regret whispers truths about what we value, nudging us toward actions that align with our deeper purpose and authentic selves." The disciples leaned in, drawn by the simplicity yet profundity of the Buddha's words. As if time itself had paused to listen, the Buddha spoke again. "When I left the palace, regret clung to me like shadows, whispering doubts about abandoning my family. My princely life had sheltered me from pain, but also blinded me to the suffering shared by all beings everywhere. The regret I felt taught me the cost of ignorance, urging me to seek truth not for myself alone, but for others. Regret does not define us," the Buddha said. "It teaches us the impermanence of mistakes and the potential for transformation. Lay down the burden of regret as the tree releases its leaves, allowing new growth to emerge when conditions are right." The monk wiped away tears as clarity began to settle over him, softening the edges of his despair and lifting his spirit. "Master," the monk asked, "how do I begin again when my heart remains tethered to the pain I caused others?" "Begin," the Buddha said gently, "by acknowledging your pain without self-condemnation. For pain becomes wisdom when embraced with humility and care. Offer kindness to yourself, as the sun offers its warmth to all, without conditions, without judging who is deserving. Compassion is the antidote to regret, a balm that soothes the wounds left by thoughtless actions and awakens love within the heart." Every act of compassion ripples outward, the Buddha explained. Like the circles formed when a stone drops into water, do not wait for perfection to begin again. For each moment is an opportunity to plant seeds of compassion and understanding. The disciples watched as the monk's face softened. His shoulders loosened, as though the weight of his regret had begun to dissolve. The Buddha continued. Time does not condemn. It offers itself freely, patiently waiting for us to recognize its infinite presence. Each breath is an invitation to awaken, to forgive yourself and others, to step forward without hesitation into the present's embrace. Regret is not a prison. It is a teacher guiding us toward paths that honor our values, our purpose, our truths. Do not lament years spent wandering, the Buddha said, for even the wandering teaches us the value of the path we seek. The bird does not curse the storm for scattering it, but uses its wings to find shelter and soar once again. Be as the bird, my disciples, resilient and trusting, using the wisdom of experience to navigate skies both calm and turbulent. The monk nodded, a new determination lighting his face, as if he had glimpsed the path ahead through the forest of uncertainty. The Buddha added, regret is a companion, not an enemy. It speaks of our longing for awakening and our capacity for change. Do not fear your shadows, for they only exist when there is light, light that reveals, illuminates, and guides us forward. Forgive yourself, the Buddha said, not for forgetting the pain you caused, but for believing you cannot transform your pain into compassion. From forgiveness springs the courage to act, to reach out, to mend wounds, and to find solace in shared humanity. The disciples reflected on their own regrets, each heart attuned to the truth that the Buddha's words carried like flowing water. The monk spoke again. Master, how do I make peace with those I have wronged, those who cannot forgive my past? The Buddha answered, extend your love not as a demand, but as an offering, unconditional and free. Knowing love grows in acceptance. Some wounds take longer to heal than others, yet even a small act of kindness can begin to mend fractured spirits. Do not seek forgiveness from others as proof of worth. Rather, offer your compassion as an act of boundless love. When we act from love, we release ourselves from the chains of guilt, opening doors to reconciliation and understanding. The monk bowed deeply, his heart lighter, his purpose clearer, his regret transformed into fuel for growth and meaningful action. Another day, another moment spent under the Bodhi tree. The disciples sat in contemplation, nourished by the Buddha's timeless teachings. Another day, another walk through the countryside. The disciples followed the Buddha, their steps lighter with the weight of teachings absorbed. They came upon an ancient tree, its branches stretching toward the sky, its roots diving deep into the earth's embrace. The Buddha paused, placing a hand against the bark, his gaze resting on the leaves dancing in the gentle breeze above. Consider this tree, the Buddha began. Its roots anchor it to the earth, drawing nourishment from the past. From hidden depths unseen, its trunk and branches grow steadily, reaching for the heavens, embodying the present, the balance of strength and aspiration. And yet, its leaves, its leaves, live only in the now, fluttering with the wind, basking in sun, falling without sorrow. Life is much like this tree, the Buddha continued, grounded in the past but thriving in the present and illuminated by the now. One disciple, curious and reflective, asked, Master, how can we learn to live like the leaves, embracing the present without fear? The Buddha smiled, his voice carrying wisdom like sunlight penetrating the darkest forest. To embrace the now, relinquish the grip of attachment. Attachment binds us to illusions, possessions, desires, and even our ideas of time, distracting us from the richness of the moment. Release attachment as the tree releases its leaves, not with sorrow, but with trust in life's cycles and their impermanence. Impermanence, the Buddha said, is not a source of despair, but the essence of existence, teaching us to cherish the fleeting. The river flows without holding to a single rock, always moving, always present, guided by the contours of its path. Be like the river, my disciples, flowing with life, accepting change, embracing each moment as it comes without resistance. The disciples nodded, their hearts stirred by the simplicity yet depth of the Buddha's guidance. Resonating like music within their souls, the Buddha continued. Many fear impermanence, clinging to the past or grasping for the future, forgetting that life unfolds in the now. Clinging, the Buddha said, creates suffering, for it disconnects us from the truth that every moment contains boundless potential for awakening. Let go of fear, and see time not as a line but as a circle, infinite and ever-present, encompassing all. Another disciple spoke. Master, I often feel restless, as though my thoughts pull me away from the peace of the present. The Buddha replied. Restlessness arises from the mind wandering between past and future, longing for certainty, forgetting the simplicity of presence. Bring your awareness to the breath, to the rhythm of life flowing within you, anchoring you in this eternal now. The breath is a gift, the bridge between body and spirit, grounding you within the truth of each passing moment. To live fully, the Buddha explained, is not to deny the past or fear the future, but to honor the now. Every step you take is both the end of one journey and the beginning of another, unfolding with each heartbeat. Observe the leaves, the Buddha said, how they dance freely, unburdened by yesterday or tomorrow, connected solely to the present's embrace. The disciples followed his gaze to the leaves, their movements light and effortless, carried by the gentle wind without resistance. One disciple asked, Master, how do we cultivate the awareness needed to live as the leaves do, in harmony with the present? The Buddha answered, awareness begins with stillness, with silence, allowing the mind to settle and reveal the beauty of the moment. Stillness is not the absence of movement, but the presence of attention, a calm clarity guiding us to inner wisdom. Practice mindfulness, the Buddha said, not only in meditation but in every action, every word, every thought that crosses your mind. Be mindful as you walk, as you eat, as you speak, as you listen, as you breathe, embracing life with intention. Each moment you live mindfully is a step toward freedom, awakening you to the interconnectedness of all that surrounds you. The disciples reflected deeply, sensing the profound yet accessible truth of the Buddha's words. As if the air itself whispered enlightenment, the Buddha continued, to live mindfully is to see the world not as fragmented but as whole, unified by presence and awareness. Mindfulness, the Buddha said, is the key to unlocking the door of life's richness, revealing the treasures hidden within every breath. Know this: the present is infinite, for it is always here, always now, always offering its essence to those who seek. Another disciple asked, Master, what if the present feels overwhelming, filled with pain or uncertainty too heavy to bear? The Buddha replied, pain and uncertainty are part of life's tapestry, threads woven into the fabric of existence, teaching us resilience. To bear pain, you must not resist it, but accept it as it is, allowing understanding to soften its sting. Uncertainty is not your enemy, but your teacher, reminding you to trust the flow of life and the wisdom within. Bring your awareness to the breath, the Buddha said, letting its rhythm guide you through storms as the river navigates obstacles. Trust the present, to hold you, to teach you, to nurture you, even when it feels heavy or uncertain. The disciples listened intently, their hearts opening to the possibility of embracing life fully, even amidst its trials and challenges. Another day, another moment spent under the Bodhi tree. The disciples sat in silence, nourished by the Buddha's timeless teachings. He collapsed before me, his voice barely audible as he uttered words of despair and resignation. Buddha recounted. Solemnly, I knelt beside him, offering water and food. Buddha said, "Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you." Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.